Assalamu ala nabiyyina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa sallam. Assalamu alaikum, dear brothers and sisters, and welcome to the Book Review Podcast. I'm your host, Abu Abdurrahman, and I'm very pleased to be joined by my dear Sheikh and brother, Sheikh Farhan bin Rafee Ahmed. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. It's been a minute.
Has been a minute.
I don't know whose fault that is.
Let's not play the blame game. Alhamdulillah, we're back. And it's good to be back. We'd like to welcome all our viewers, wherever you may be watching, on the Albayan Radio YouTube, ASWJ Australia Facebook, TikTok, Sheikh Farhan's Instagram page. Welcome. And obviously the Albayan Radio app. We do welcome your feedback, your questions, your suggestions, and we're willing to take it as long as it's within the boundaries and manners of Islam. So please give us your feedback, give us your suggestions, give us your questions you may have. As you know, the Sheikh and his family have been a long time in the book world, Islamic books that is. Obviously, Sheikh Farhan works in Dar es Salaam Islamic Bookstore, as you all know, and he is a graduate of the Islamic University of Medina, and he's a teacher here upstairs at Masjid Al-Azhar Belmore. Every Monday night he has his Tafsir Quran class, Tafsir Unlocked, currently going through Tafsir of Surah Al-Baqarah. How is that going?
It's daunting, I'm not going to lie. My Saturday, Sunday, Monday morning, Monday before the lesson, Monday during work is filled and riddled with anxiety. I'm not going to lie. It's like...
Why so? Due to preparation?
Preparation is intense. Preparation's intense, and I genuinely, I don't want to bag anyone out. I'm not trying to do that in any way, shape or form, but I just like being systematic and very prepared. And whenever we're talking about Qala Allah, whenever we say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says something, then you've got to be very, very careful what 100%. Comes next. And I've taken this as a responsibility on myself. Like, I've put this pressure on myself. I get that. I understand. You've got to blame myself first. But by the way that I'm going and doing it, where I say Imam Al-Qurtubi says this, Imam Tabari says this, Ibn Kathir says this, Imam Shawkani says this, great mufassirin.
No.
But as soon as I use their name, then I have to be meticulous in how I translate the work, because I'm translating as I go. If I say some of the scholars have said, and I just become a little bit loose with it, right? It makes, off my neck, it makes it so much easier. So much easier. If I say some of the scholars have said. But because I go through and I write it down of this scholar specifically said in this, and then someone can go and fact check me. Go for it. I actually want that. You know what I mean? Go for it. And find out if the translation was accurate. Find out if we misrepresented it. Maybe I haven't understood it properly. Maybe something else has happened that, whatever the case is. So I've put this on myself. It's probably a good and a bad thing. That's okay. No problem. But I think it's something that's important, and it's something important to me. And so it is daunting, and just the fact that it's been 15 weeks and we just got to the second verse, we've just finished the second verse of Surah Al-Baqarah. It is daunting, I'm not going to lie, but because the corpus of work is just so massive. I'm going through 13 different tafsir in one hit, in one verse. I'm going through different, whatever was written up until a certain point. Like, I got a pretty broad spectrum that I'm going through. Of the scholars who took it according to the Sunnah and the understanding of the pious predecessors. So there's like a way that we're going through it. It's very systematic. It's so that's why that's pretty daunting, and it's riddled with anxiety. Like today's lesson, I was going through everything. I finished it at 6:55, and I had to be here by 7. So it's like, it's full on. It's intense. But alhamdulillah, it's a blessing to be able to go through this many tafasir. It's a blessing to be able to go through what's been written by our scholars, our pious predecessors, and to go through in a way that I can say comfortably, I've gone through this book, and I love that feeling. Like, inshallah, by the time we're done, 15-year project, I understand.
Inshallah.
Inshallah, ya Rab, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us life. I understand it's not going to be easy, but it's something that I do enjoy at the same time.
Excellent. Now, whoever would like to access that series, it is the 15th part, and the Sheikh has completed the 40 hadith of Imam al-Nawawi before then. You can go to the Masjid Al-Azhar YouTube channel, and also the Sheikh's personal channel, Farhan bin Rafee, on YouTube as well. And you can find them on Albayan Radio's podcast channels, the complete series there as well. Now, Sheikh, I've been, going to the bookstore. As you know, I'm a regular visitor to the
Yeah,
bookstore in Lakemba and other bookstores as well. It's
Yep.
one of my hobbies, as you know.
Yep.
And I've come across something that I found quite new. These automated prayer mats. What's the go with them before we get into our topic of the book reviews? What's
Okay, so they're not automated prayer mats. They're
like you press something and the sound comes out or it tells you what to do next? What is it?
So it's the electronic prayer mat, if you
Beautiful.
call it, right? Or the educational prayer mat. So you put a couple of batteries in this thing, right? And you lay it out, and it helps. There's a kids version and an adults version. And so basically, if you press a button, it will tell you the dua or the dhikr that you need to press at that time. So remember, like back in the day when someone would become Muslim or your kid, something like that, and you'd give them the prayer mat with the instructions written on it. So this is like that meeting the 21st century. So I've read certain fatwas of certain mashayikh who said that it wasn't okay, but I just know of what has occurred with like the parental feedback that we get. But parents have understood, parents have been able to say that my kids now are able to pray because of this mat. The adults version brought a lot of reverts, brothers and sisters who didn't have the access to being taught as a child, how to pray. And you see that it's like guided as well. So you have a thing that like, okay, press like on a thing. It starts with Dhuhr Salah, for instance, 4 raka'at. And it'll walk you through the prayer. So I'm not going through the specifics of halal, haram, whatnot. But I'm just saying that there's a lot of people who have learnt Salah through this way. So it's a stepping stone. It's not like replacing your prayer or anything like that. But it's just like if you want to do it in the privacy of your home and you want to learn how to pray, I've actually, like, for instance, some parents have told me, hey, should I get this? I'm like, look, if you want the ajr and you want to be closer to a Nabi sallallahu alayhi wasallam, then how did the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam teach his companions? By praying next to them. Pray next to your children and teach them the prayer. That you get the reward then of them learning the prayer. So there are benefits, pros and cons and whatnot, but there are just some people, like I've seen the type of people who have bought this, you know what I mean? And you'd be like, alhamdulillah, they're using that, or the alternative is they're not going to pray. Do you know what I mean? Like, let's be honest. Like, our community is so vast. It's so spread out. The spectrum is so, it's so massive. There are some people, if someone prays, that's a big deal in some families. That's a massive thing. So, alhamdulillah, that's all we can say. Alhamdulillah.
Back in my day, about 20 years ago, when a lot of brothers were getting into prayer, they had the prayer mat with the writing on it.
Yeah, so we still have that. That's like $15. So you can still get that, right? So you can still get that prayer mat, and it's probably the most cost-effective way. But the problem is, how do you differentiate the da with a dal? Right? It says DA, and one of them will have a line on top. Like, bro, who's gonna learn the key to that? You know what I mean? So it's what am I saying? Wala dalin or wala dalin? Like, let's be honest. So if you can hear it, it has a benefit of it sounds, it's phonetics, it's how the sound is pronounced. So there's a benefit to that in saying is it Allahu Akbar or the Qaf or Kaf, Allahu Akbar. So there's it's better than other toys that they're playing with.
No doubt we should like have, as a community, it's another issue. As a community, we should have these services to teach people how to pray, whether new Muslims. And we have some good news here. Sister Anna, she says, Assalamu alaikum, my son just reverted Saturday. He is 42 years old. Welcome to Islam, dear brother, and good news for Sister Anna, who I think has posted a few times or asked a few questions. Alhamdulillah. Is that good for him? I think she's referring to that prayer mat. Is that good for him, inshallah? I
think if there's no one there to teach him, and if he wants to do something extra outside, and he wants to do something in the privacy of his own home and his own room, and he wants to just hear it out, and you want to give it like a bit of an introduction, it won't hurt. I think that it could be something that would be a good thing.
Sister Anna, as well, if you can send us a direct message, we'll send you out the kit on our behalf, inshallah. We have a few here in the radio studios, and we'll send you the Quran and the prayer mat as well. Just send us your address and we'll deliver it to you bi'idhnillahi ta'ala. Barakallah fiki, and thanks for your message. Sheikh, any exciting new book releases that you'd like just to tell us about? We're not going to review them, but just exciting news, something coming for the avid book readers out there.
I think the sphere of Seerah is about to be changed completely. I think the field of
in the English
Seerah
language,
in the English language, of course, in the English language. Thanks for that. I think in the English language, Seerah is about to be turned upside down. I genuinely believe this in my heart. I think there is a book that has just been released that we have just received as well. And I'm in the process of reading it. I'm nearly done. I started last night. It's a big book.
I'm quite jealous of that point there.
I started the night before yesterday. Sorry, the night before yesterday. I'm nearly done. Alhamdulillah. It's about the pages are I think about 300-400 pages. I've looked at it quite extensively, and that's what I want to say for next week until after I finish it, so I can reserve all the notes. But it's written by a student of Imam al-Dhahabi, a student of Hafiz al-Mizzi, a student of Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah. It's something that's unbelievable.
Why are you building this suspense for? Just tell us who it is.
If I tell you who it is and you know the book, what's the point? You know what I mean? Like, I'm trying to build hype here, Sheikh. Come on. It is available, and FYI, it is very expensive. I want you guys to think of it as a textbook. It is like steep because we buy it in pounds, shipping. I checked how much it is to get it direct through Amazon through the actual publisher. It comes up to be the same, or roughly the same. I think it's like $1 or $2 difference. But it's $29, something like that. It is expensive, but the book is so beautiful. It's so beautiful.
Have they added anything to the original text? I know we're going to review it, but
they have. There's some timelines in the back. It's beautifully presented.
The timelines are very useful when
having it
discussing
there,
Seerah, learning Seerah.
Like having it there mind mapped out, lined out is really, really important. I genuinely just really like having those timelines there. And then there's extensive notes, and I'm going through them one by one. Look, only the Quran is complete and perfect. Everything else, it has 100%. Some pros and cons, right? The translation of this thing is so good to read. It's so good to read. And so we're going to leave that to next week. Do you want me to actually say it?
Up to you. I'll leave it for you.
Okay, just to build hype. Next week, inshallah, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us life, gives us the ability and the health, we will go through one of the most important books in Seerah that's concise, straight to the point, not an information overload, something that's accessible by everyone in the sense where it's not too big and not too small. Even if you're an advanced student, you will benefit from this book because the books that you're reading in English have gone back to this book. So you need this book. And the title of the book is Al-Fussol, which means the chapters. And it goes through the seerah of the Prophet ﷺ in a very brief way. And
it is a brief book in Arabic anyway.
It's a very brief book. And the chapter headings were added on later on because Hafiz Ibn Kathir, rahimahullah, who wrote the Tafsir of Ibn Kathir, he's the author of this. Great work. And it's a very momentous work for the English world. And I think that this thing is going to turn Seerah upside down. Like for the English world, how people study it, how people look at it. And then after that, there are advanced books that they can go through, definitely. But this is like, what's the first thing in Seerah that I need to read? It's this book here. I genuinely think. I think it's mixed in the benefits of having the sealed nectar and mixed in having the benefits of Nadawi's The Life of the Messenger. Put it together and you got this concise, straight to the point, better than the Moon Split, better than everything else. This thing is on another level.
Now, some of the Mashaykh have said that you should study Al-Arjuz al-Mi'iyya before Al-Fussol.
Yeah.
But, which brings me to my point now. We're not going to have a debate over this, but anyway, it's another story. I have purchased that book from Dar es-Salaam. It's for Ibn Abil Izz, the great Shaykh and Imam
Al-Hanafi,
rahimahullah, the great explainer of Al-Tahawi.
Yeah, Imam Al-Tahawi's Aqeedah Al-Tahawi,
yeah. Where I'm getting at is the English translation
is shocking.
Is not very good. Which publishing house was it again? Dar Mecca, because there's another one which is online which is better.
Yeah, I know.
From I think the brothers in
Philadelphia.
US or PK, Philadelphia.
UK, I think.
We want to
US,
we want to do that in future where we actually compare.
Okay, I've done that for a few books. Now, the UK, some places are unbelievable, like in the translation. Sometimes but it's a slippery slope. Like for instance, I opened the book of Ibn Abi Dunya, Perished Nations. I found a mistake on the first line. On the first line, that the person narrating was, that it was as if he was a companion. Like it's just, I found when I saw that, and I saw that on the first line, you've managed. Like look, everyone can make a fault, right?
100%,
100%, right? But just this is a very important field that we have to look at very, very closely. And like, for instance, the books of Ibn Abi Dunya are now being published. Patience and Sabr, one of the books of patience, have been released. But the problem with the books of Ibn Abi Dunya, for instance, rahimahullah, was one of the earliest writers in Islamic history. And Sheikh Abdul Razak bin Abdul Muhsin Abbad, he advises students to go read it. You know, these are books, he was the first person to take, like for instance, let's just take Al-Uqubat, right? The perished nations, the things that people were punished. And he got all of the ahadith that were relating to it and he put it into a book, right? So it's like very selective subjects and then chuck it into a book and just gather everything. But the aim of it was to gather everything. It wasn't that everything in it is authentic. So I genuinely think that in my heart, I don't think it's wise to publish these books without having at least the grading of the hadiths. Publish the books.
Yes, 100%.
Publish the books. That's wonderful. It's a service to the community. It's a service to the ummah. But go that little bit extra and do the hard yards. And even if it's the ahkam of Sheikh Albani, for instance, or you don't do your own independent research, you take someone else's rulings and gradings and you put it in the book, even that will be a massive help to the community. So I think that, like for instance, some of the things that are in there in that book, for instance, are very, very weak. And you got to be very careful. You know what I mean? You can't build on stuff like that. So I genuinely think that we have to look at as a community at large, and the only way that this will fix is like someone sends and there's like an actual response, and like, a lot of these hadiths aren't authentic. Like I'm going through one of the books and I'm doing it myself. But the problem is searching up for a hadith and searching up for the turuq, for the actual chains of narrations, whilst the book is in English, is so hard. Because I have to look for the Arabic wording. Like how would they have
100%.
translated this? So then I've actually got the book open, because Ibn Abi Dunya's books are printed, I think, in 9 volumes. It's called the Rasail or Majmu'at Ibn Abi Dunya. It's like 8 books where they've printed out all of his Rasail. And they're gems as books. You actually enjoy reading it, right? But even the Arabic one doesn't have any takhrij, which means no rulings are on the actual books if they're authentic or not authentic. You just got to do the hard yards and do it yourself. The isnad is there, the hadith is there, go find it, go do it. You know what I mean? Like that type of thing. So when I was going through the book, like there was so many things that I needed to address, and I just got tired after a while. I'm still doing it, but it's at a reduced rate. But I want to finish one whole thing where I go through and do the takhrij. I genuinely think that it's very dangerous for us to be printing out stuff right now and just leaving it up to the wind. Everything in this is okay to read. No, there's no book like that other than the Quran. So just the fact that if you're attributing something to the Prophet ﷺ, is it authentic or not? Like bare minimum, is it authentic or not? So that's just some of the stuff, I think is really, really important right now that we really got to sort out. So there are some really new, wonderful new books that are coming out right now. Like for instance, Dar al-Sunnah just printed Al-Wabil al-Sayyib by Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah. Great book. So we have to look at that. Translation, has it been translated? Generally, rule of thumb, they're okay. They're not the best, but they're not the worst. You know what I mean? Let's just be honest. But it's better than not having it.
Yes. Now we got a few comments here. Let me get through them. But I had a sort of a thought or a idea that inshallah maybe a future topic we can discuss is a shortcut or some tips for the beginner student of knowledge to actually source hadith. What do you think?
Shortcut to...
That's shortcut. I'm not going to tell them the proper way. Like some tips on finding the grading of a hadith without using Google. What do you think?
In English?
Not now, but in future episodes.
I genuinely think it's borderline impossible if you don't. The quickest way is have a sheikh and be like, hey sheikh, is this 100% or not? Straight out. Like that.
But I'm thinking, like, for example, if someone finds a hadith that's found in Sunnah Abi Dawud. Or the 4 Sunan, Ibn Majah, Nasa'i, and what
for an average person, they'll need Google.
Tirmidhi.
I'm being honest. For an average person, they'll need Google.
Yes.
They'll need to find like
Sunnah.com.
That's one.
In Arabic, there's a lot better ones, obviously.
In Arabic, oh my God, so good.
That's what I'm saying. Just some tips on that line.
Yeah. That would be easy. But if someone wants to, like, there's basically what you have to do first and foremost. You have to go through the actual chain of that hadith specifically and see if there's anyone who's a liar or anyone who's a fabricator, known rebellious person, whatever it is. Then you have to compare it to what you have. Like, for instance, today someone sent me a hadith and said, Sheikh, is this hadith authentic? And I had the word Israel for the angel of death. And we know that there is no hadith that's authentic that says that the angel of death, his name is Israel. So just, there are sometimes telling tales. Like for instance, if a hadith comes to you and says, the Prophet ﷺ slapped this person. Like just, you know what I mean? Something that's completely out of the blue. You can just tell from the get-go that this is, you know what I mean? The Prophet ﷺ did 1, 2, and 3. Obviously based on knowledge, not just based on complete, just your own hawa. Oh, the Prophet can't have more than 4 wives, or the Prophet can't have more than 1 wife. You think that it's not okay, so you just like, the Prophet never did it. So you have to be very careful. You have to be playing with fire here. So you have to be, من كذب علي متعمدا فليتبوأ مقعده من النار. Whoever lies upon me intentionally, let him prepare his seat in the hellfire. So this is like very dangerous stuff. But there's really no shortcut other than just right now. The only shortcut you have is Google. Let's be honest. Or you have someone who you be like, hey, Sheikh, is this okay or not? Is this a-okay or not? And please don't do that with me. I am so busy. But there's so many people who'd be willing to do it.
Sheikh's number, for those who would like any hadith checked, is 04.
Do not do that, please.
All right, moving on, Sheikh, we're getting a lot of questions, alhamdulillah, very interesting. Regarding Al-Fussol,
yes.
The brother asks, where is it? Just... Is it a juzu of al-bidayah wa nihaya, or it's independent book?
No, that's actually a very big misconception that Al-Fussol is it's actually a separate book. It's not from Bidayah wa Nihaya. The one that's from Bidayah wa Nihaya has been printed separately. That's people call that a Seerah of Ibn Kathir and stuff like that. There is some people say that even is not a thing, but it is Al-Fussol, not from Bidayah wa Nihaya, separate book completely. He makes mention of it in another book. He actually makes mention of it in his tafsir of Surah Ahzab. It's mentioned in there that he's mentioned the book by itself, and it's been mentioned by other people as a separate book as well.
And it's called, the full title is Al-Fussol fi Sirat al-Rasul, isn't it?
Yeah. So basically, what does Fussol mean? Back in the day, they didn't have like new page, or they didn't have like, how do you separate something from another thing? So instead of saying chapter, the word for it would be fasl.
And Fussol is the jama'
fasl
of?
Fussol would be the plural state of fasl. So when the book itself is chapters. So now what they've done is with the Fussol, with these chapters, there was actually no subject headings. There were no titles that were given. It was just fasl. The birth of the Prophet ﷺ would come then. Then after that, fasl, and then another chapter of the Prophet ﷺ, and then fasl, another chapter. But there was no subject headings, which reminds us of who did what? Imam al-Bukhari rahimahullah, how he wrote his Sahih, his Jami' of Sahih al-Bukhari initially. Sahih Muslim, sorry. Imam Muslim rahimahullah, he didn't put any chapter headings in his book, right? That was added by Imam al-Nawawi rahimahullah. So, Imam al-Bukhari rahimahullah, he had like meticulous chapter headings, right? It's the opposite. But so that's what made this book so powerful, that there was no chapter headings, and that it's just Fussol, just chapters. So it's very concise, very like abridged, but for an average person, this is going to be a game changer. I genuinely think it'll be a way that you can like find love in.
And also, when he mentions Fussol or chapters, it's obviously telling us that it's in chronological order.
Yeah, it's chronological order as well. This thing is unbelievable. This thing is wonderful, and there's a specific thing about the battles of the Prophet. We can't do the review today. It has to be next week.
We almost did. Anyway, it's another story. Ahmed asks, Sheikh, are we getting the illustrious woman of Islam back, or in stock soon?
Okay. No news about that, right? We are definitely getting that back in, inshallah.
And that's a book you've mentioned before on the show.
We've done that. We've done the review of that one. I think it was like first one that we did. That book is unbelievable. But news,
breaking news, yeah.
Breaking.
Tech man, wake up and put something on the...
We are getting, inshallah...
I think he's still asleep. Where is he?
Oh, don't do that to me, bro. If he's not...
the hand wave is alive.
We got the wave, mate. We got the wave. It's all right, mate. You're okay, Jimmy. Barakallah. I love that guy. He is the best. Without him, this place is just not the same.
Thanks a lot for that.
Now, bro, without you, there's no radio.
No, I'm only joking.
Now, so, Illustrious Woman. That book is unbelievable because for anyone who doesn't know, there's a book called The Noble Life of the Illustrious Woman or something like that. But the thing that puts it as being an amazing book is because it's taken from 2 books, Sir A'lam al-Nubala and Kitab al-Isaba by Imam Hafiz ibn Hajar and Imam al-Dhahabi rahimahullah. Unbelievable book, right? So those 2 books are great in history. One is specific to the companions, one specific to all of history. And if you look at that book, right, so if you take the best of both of them, you've got something that's amazing, which is why that book is amazing. So what they've done is they've actually finished and published the illustrious men. And that's going to be a game changer for history, because the companions, and it's a massive book. I've got a copy. Do I have a copy? I don't know if I have a copy yet. But, Sheikh Nidal, I'm talking about this book, this big, bro. Sheikh, I'm not that big, and it's hardcover. It is expensive. I've seen the price. Ooh, it's scary. But it's an encyclopedia. It's an encyclopedia of the names of the companions, radiallahu anhum ajma'een, and their lives. So, yes, the woman is coming back, but also the men are coming as well.
I think that's why the sister here our brother here, Abdullah, says, didn't Ustaz Farhan say that the book about the male Sahaba was being published in Dar es Salaam? Is that what he's referring to?
It's not published by Dar es Salaam. It's actually, I think it's by Hikmah Pubs or Authentic Statements or one of the ones in America. That's where it's coming from, I'm pretty sure. America. And America. And so inshallah, when that comes in, we're gonna have it in our store, and that's gonna be a review one straight away, Sheikh. That's gonna be amazing.
Got a salam from Ustaz Abdul Ghani Al-Baf. Gives you salam. Hayakum Allah.
Wa alayhi salam.
Barakallah fiqh. Also, some comments. We need to put some effort in and learn Arabic, and you get access to all the primary source material. 100%. We've said that many times. We try to motivate our brothers and sisters to learn Arabic, so you can access.
Yeah, I'm doing an Arabic course to teach Arabic. I got some of my students on here as well. They're watching live. Good brothers, mashallah. Good sisters.
What's your account again? So if someone wants to follow.
Farhan bin Rafee. So just my name.
It's Insta?
On Instagram, yeah. But some of the brothers were saying salam. So alaikum salam, guys.
Excellent. Now, the Sheikh did mention previous episode. This is This is our 7th episode. For those watching on YouTube and Facebook, it's in the description or in the comments. You can just click on and watch all the previous programs, and there is a book review short clips as well, where you can watch certain books we've reviewed. Excellent. Sheikh, take questions, or let's get into the topic.
Just one more question. I'm just curious.
Assalamu alaikum. Best tafsir book and affordable to get, please, and welcome to mention a few. Jazakallah khairan. In English, I think they're referring to. English or Arabic? Let us know. I think it's English.
In English, the best tafsir let's go in order. The best tafsir that's available currently in English is Tafsir al-Sa'di for any person, regardless of your level.
But you mentioned affordable here.
I know. I said the best. I didn't say affordable. Okay, I said the best.
Yes.
I'm watching my words. So, the best tafsir. It's in 10 volumes, massive, but the price tag is massive. But for a reason, right? It's 10 volumes. It's yellow pages. It's so beautiful to look at. The layout is amazing. If you compare it to the Tafsir ibn Kathir that was published like 20 years ago, bro, that Tafsir ibn Kathir, if someone can stay sabr with it, bro, you need a reward by itself.
It does need a
needs a massive update, because the actual layout of it is like, it gives you like, it puts you in circles, bro. It's like, well, what's going on? How do I find this verse? So I genuinely think Tafsir al-Sa'di is just such a breath of fresh air.
They want both. Both. They're referring to both.
Arabic and English?
Yeah.
So it still sits, right? So Tafsir Sa'di is probably my first pick. In Arabic, Tafsir al-Jalalain, we've actually gone through this, what to do. Tafsir al-Jalalain.
That's right, yes. We have.
Actually went through it earlier.
I think episode 1 or 2.
1 or 2, yeah. Tafsir al-Jalalain is probably the first point, but I generally think just go straight to Tafsir al-Sa'di. If you're intermediate Arabic, you'd be fine with it. You'll be fine. And the aim of Tafsir al-Sa'di, he says in his introduction, I'm just giving you the verse. I'm giving you the meaning of the verse. I'm not giving you all the hadiths that are about it. I'm not giving you asbab al-nuzul, reasons of revelation. I'm not giving you whether it's Makki, Madani, none of that. I'm just telling you how you're supposed to understand this verse. And that's exactly what we need right now. We just need to go through the Quran like that. That's the first thing. But in affordability, then they've actually published a 4-volume edition, which is like $260. Yes, still pretty pricey.
Same publisher, is it?
No, different publisher. This is the same guys that have done Sahih International Quran. They've actually gone and done the thing. I haven't looked at that translation. I don't know it. I can't put my thing on it, but it's affordable. Okay. Then the one that's more affordable. Now we're going into the $30, right? $20. Actually, we'll go in between. $49.
Individual volumes.
Individual volume. The Noble Quran, Muhsin Khan Taqiddin Hilali is the only tafsir cover to cover every single verse, where you can get in the brackets and in the footnotes abbreviated tafsir, summarized tafsir.
And we spoke about that
in the beginning. Then after that, it's tafsir of different surah, tafsir of different chapters. So you can get, for instance, the tafsir of Surah Al-Fatiha published by Darus Sunnah, and it's called Surah Al-Fatiha, it's called Tafsir.
Spiritual cure.
Spiritual cure. That is wonderful because it goes through similar to what we did in 13 weeks. It goes through Qurtubi, Baghawi, Tabari, Zamakhshari, Ibn Kathir. He goes through like different tafsir, and it's a perfect entry point to tafsir. Once you finish with that, they've actually published another one called In the Light of the Quran or something like that, where it's about Qul Ya Ayyuhal Kafirun and Qul Huwallahu Ahad, two surahs that everyone wants to read for every salah that they pretty much want to do, which is unfortunate. But because everyone knows Qul Huwallahu Ahad, it's very important to know the understanding of Qul Huwallahu Ahad. So that one, I'm pretty sure it's called 100%. In the Light of the Quran. Then once you finish that, then you can get the lessons from Surah Yusuf, or Surah Al-Kahf, sorry, for instance. The Tafsir of Surah Al-Kahf by Shaykh ibn Uthaymeen rahimahullah, printed, published, all done. Then you can get of Surah Yusuf. That one is by Imam As-Sa'di rahimahullah. It's out of print, so you have to get a PDF of that one because I don't know what happened to the publisher DU Sunnah. Tried to find it a bunch of times, couldn't find it. But yeah, the chap from Surah Yusuf is a very good one. And then Sheikh Bilal Phillips, Hafidahullah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to see this man. Wallahi, he is like an ayah min ayatillah. This guy is unbelievable. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect him, give him a long life, give him safety, health, whatever he needs. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give it to him in this world and the next. Now, he's got tafsir of different chapters. He's got of Surah Hujurat. He's got of, he's got chapters.
Al-Bayan, I think as well,
he's got a bunch. He's got
smaller one.
No, he's got a bunch, but we haven't brought it because no one buys it. Let's just be honest, right? It's we've tried to bring it. We've just got stock still sitting from the first batch of Surah Hujurat and like other surah as well. But that one I'm sure you can find online. You know what I mean? I'm sure you can find it online as a PDF, right? I don't believe in PDFs, but that's a whole nother can of worms. Now
we got to discuss that one day.
One day. That's how massive, because I know Sheikh Faiz dropped it over here as well. They said
for and against. We have to be just.
Yeah. I believe in people's time and their effort and their work. But
100%.
anyways, that's one thing. But obviously the deen is no copyright on deen. But anyways, now the other issue, the other books that you can get then after that is like books about tafsir. So the introduction of tafsir by Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah, the Muqaddimah, that was explained by Shaykh ibn Uthaymeen rahimahullah, that's printed by Al-Hidayah, published, available. Go get that. There's another book that if you come see us at the shop, I'll tell you about, but I'm not going to ever say that live on radio until we actually do a proper thing. It's a book that's about $45, I believe, off the top of my head. It's hardcover. It's published by Al-Hidayah. It's written by someone who is a bit... How's it going? And that one is probably one of the best books in Ulum al-Quran.
Excellent.
But yeah, we're not going to do that.
His name is Yasser Qadi. Like, why do you
I thought we're not dropping names. You know what I mean?
His name is Yasser Qadi.
Okay, so yeah, he's got one of the best books in Usul al-Tafsir. I don't recommend anyone reading anything that he's published recently. I'm just being honest. I don't. His old books are gold. We learnt Al-Tawheed and Aqidah, and that was one of the first books that I studied. With the Jibali series and stuff like that. So he's got wonderful books. That's going to get us in trouble, bro. That's going to get us in trouble. But he's got some wonderful works, right? His old stuff. The new stuff, I'd say we got to be very, very careful. But he's got his book on tafsir was the science of, what was it called? An Introduction to the Science of the Quran, right? Shaykh Nilad? Introduction to the Science of the Quran? Is that the title of Sheikh Yasser's book?
Yeah, I presume so.
Introduction of the Science of the Quran. And this book is good. It's good. It's like, wow. It's a very important book to read for a beginner level tafsir. And I think that's once you finish that, then you should save up and get the Tafsir Sa'di. And for the Arabic, Jalalain, then Ibn Kathir, then if you finish that, you're a tank, mashallah alayk. But if you finish that, then Tafsir Tabari, Qurtubi, and then Tabari. Tabari is like the last because it's very difficult to read. Very difficult to read.
Excellent. Sheikh, we still got some questions.
Yalla, please.
What do you advise to study in Mustalah from beginning to advanced? Mustalah al-Hadith,
Mustalah al-Hadith and Nahu and Sarf and all of these, I genuinely think you need to start learning Arabic. That is a science that should be
study
done
with
in
a Sheikh, yeah.
I genuinely think study that because you're learning about a science that you can only technically access the knowledge and stuff like that, and the books that you need to apply that knowledge in Arabic. It has not been translated, and I hope it never gets translated, because that's a science that needs to stay in Arabic, because
many of the sciences are, to be pretty frank, even Usul al-Fiqh, for example.
Usul al-Fiqh, and that's what I'm saying, all these alat, all the ways to get to certain fields, Usul al-Fiqh, Usul al-Hadith, Nahu, Sarf, balagha, mantiq, all of these types of subjects that are very important and integral, they should not be studied in English in any way, shape or form. I genuinely think just because it's one, I think you're wasting your time. Because like, if I don't want to get into that too much, but like for instance, if you know something is like, you have to find if someone is da'if, right? If you have to find that someone is, if you're gonna go through the chain of narration. Let's just take ilm al-hadith, the mustalah al-hadith that he's asking, right?
Yes.
So I have to get, the first step I have to do, just bare minimum, is I have to write down the entire isnad. I have to look down at the isnad that I have. He said that 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 he said, Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam said. I have to look at this line. Sometimes it could be 15 people. Sometimes it could be more. Sometimes it's less. Sometimes it's like 6-7 people in the average, right? So now I have to look at every individual. How do I find out about this individual? I have to go to two. Generally speaking, if you want to do the shortcut, taqrib, and you have to go to Mizan al-i'tidal. Taqrib, that from Hafiz ibn Hajar, and the other one from Imam al-Dhahabi rahimahullah. You got to go through these two books, Mizan al-i'tidal and Taqrib. Now, that book is never going to be translated. Never. Because then I have to find, what did these two scholars say about this individual that exists here? Right?
No.
If they are upon the same verdict, then generally speaking, you don't have to do any more information. Generally speaking, then you say, okay, done. No problems. Then you go to the next narrator. Then you find, and sometimes the narrator is Abdullah. How many Abdullahs have lived in the history of of time? You know what I mean? Like, Abdullah is a very common name. So you have to find, if this Abdullah is mentioned, the name that comes after, who did he take it from? That's how we find out who this Abdullah was. Then, because we can get a time estimation, because this person only had 3 Abdullahs as his student. These books, to find all this out, has not been translated. It's that's just far-fetched that will be translated. So to actually apply and implement Mustalah al-Hadith, I just don't know how you're going to do it. You know what I mean? How would you actually practically do takhrij?
They have translated Al-Bayquniyya.
They've done the Bayquniyya. They've done Bayquniyya with Shaykh Ibn Uthaymeen and stuff like that. But it's important. Look, I think the only thing that you can benefit from that is like understanding that Sahih has different types. That Sahih goes to Hasan as well.
No.
And then after that, there's a thing that's even weaker than that. Right? Then when you go into Hasan li dhati, Hasan li ghayri, that's which is strong by itself or needs supporting and corroborating evidences. Then you know that da'if is not all the same as well. Right? Something that's completely fabricated isn't something that's a little bit weak. And then you have to understand the differences of the actual type of da'af in different fields. Some people, like Imam Ahmad rahimahullah said, لَمَّا رَوَيْنَا فِي الْحَلَالِ وَالْحَرَامِ تَشَدَّدْنَا. When we started narrating about halal and haram, we made our the principles very, very strong. And for fada'il tasahalna, right? When we started narrating about the fada'il tasahalna, and then it goes into a different thing that didn't mean extremely weak. Like something that has no asl. I just make up a hadith right now and say.
It doesn't contradict something.
It doesn't
stronger
contradict.
than it.
There's a whole bunch of like.
Conditions,
If someone wants to read that as like, let me just know about the science. Let me just get some background knowledge on the science. Yeah, but if you think you're going to actually practically implement it, it could be, yes, you can ask questions. But if you want to practically implement stuff, then it's going to be, you got to be very careful.
Bring on the questions, dear brothers and sisters. Brother Ali says, Jazakallah khair for all this information. Wa iyak. Barakallah feek. Now, subhanallah al-azim, Seerah is something that we all like reading about, but many a times the brothers, we've for some reason received this question a few times.
Yep.
And that's regarding, should we start with Quran or start with Seerah? And this is something that maybe you touch upon again.
Yeah, so why are we so rigid with that time?
100%.
Why, like Sheikh Abu Bakr mentioned this on his podcast when he
That's
came
it,
here.
yes,
He said, like, why do you think you can only touch the Quran one time a day? You know what I mean? That after the one time, you're no longer allowed to touch this Quran. That once the Quran is up on the shelf, it's up on the shelf. You know what I mean? Like, I cannot touch it. God forbid I touch that Quran 2 times in one day. You know what I mean? Like, we don't have to be so rigid. So you can have a time that you study Quran in a day. And there shouldn't be a day of a Muslim where he does not read some Quran. Wallahi, it's a shame. Right? Your day is just going to be just so much worse when you don't touch upon the Quran. That's the first thing.
No.
The second thing is that when you have the Quran, right, and you're revising and you're memorizing, whatever your relationship with the Quran that you're doing, right, that's one segment of your day. Why can't you read something else after that? You should have, I'm on the thing that you should read one book, finish it. Don't be like reading 9 books like me. Don't do it. Because it takes ages to finish a book and you don't get that satisfaction of finishing a book. You know what I mean? That finishing a book satisfaction is different. It hits different.
I've tried both approaches.
Which one do you like? Be honest.
Still a work in progress.
Still figuring it out.
What I used to do actually is have
Should I say how many kids they have?
like a program. No comment. Like a program like Mondays I'll have Aqidah. Tuesday I'll have Fiqh. Wednesday Seerah.
That's how my life is planning out now.
But I do like that approach which you mentioned. Like you got your Quran, you're memorizing, you're reading. That's a daily thing.
That's after Fajr.
Should not leave
that's
that.
after Fajr. That's that.
And as you know, since Alhamdulillah Allah has blessed us with the ability to be able to teach and have classes, we're preparing for that.
Yeah.
So that sort of I believe it's a blessing.
Yeah, it is.
And for many we don't see it till later.
Yeah.
Many of the brothers and sisters who were in teaching positions and then stopped.
Yeah.
Didn't
They
only
usually
stop
complain.
teaching, they stopped actually studying and revising, and they regret the day they stopped teaching. That's another story for another day. But I do like the approach of having a book and finishing it as well. But we always underline the fact that you should attend structured lessons and courses
100%.
and study the books that you're learning and studying there with the sheikh.
100%.
Do some extra reading at home, have some extra material. And this is something that we always discuss. I'm studying Al-Fussol in Seerah.
Yeah.
What's some supporting
Everything
material
books,
that I can have? Like that's why I'm excited about Al-Fussol, because I'm teaching Al-Juza Al-Mi'iyya.
Yeah.
And as you know, some have said that Al-Juza is actually a summary
of it.
of Al-Fussol, because Ibn Abi al-Azz al-Hanafi is a student of Ibn Kathir rahimahullah.
You know, the funniest thing that happened to me in Ramadan, someone had the audacity. He was trying to have a debate with me, and he was like, Ibn Abi al-Azz is unknown, and he's basically got his people mixed up. It was just the funniest thing. There's people just talking about authors as if they know them and stuff like that. It's very, very important to know who your author is.
100%.
Right? And know the teachers of the author and the students of the author, and to know the name of your author. When your author died, when he was alive, what's been said about your author, this author that you're reading. So that's like some of the books today, that's scary. Wallahi, it's scary. They have no authors written on it. It's no author is written on the book, and that's the freakiest thing. Or they put a kunya, Ibn Fulan. I don't know who you are, lad. Like, I don't know who you are, right? I'm not going to mention something, or Abu something, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's no actual way to trace who this person is, unless he's like Insta famous or something like that, or Facebook famous, or TikTok famous. But it's like, very, very scary. So know your authors and know. Very, very important.
So going back to that, exactly what you were saying is that it shouldn't be separate.
Yeah.
Continue your study of the Quran.
1,000,000%.
Tawheed of Allah is always the most important thing. Learn about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And I always advise, the brothers and sisters, every year, don't let a year go past when you don't read something about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam.
Yeah.
A book about the Prophet sallallahu alaihi
You've
wasallam.
been pretty sustained on that. Like, you've been pretty, like, that's something you've been on hard for a while.
Alhamdulillah, yes.
For a while. There hasn't been a year that you haven't, like, got a new book in Seerah. Multiple.
Yeah, plural, I think. Plural. Books.
MashaAllah.
It was a habit of mine for a while since, you brought it up, that I would buy everything that comes down in Seerah.
Yeah.
But before it was a slow purchase. Now, Allahumma barik, there's a lot of stuff dropping, and every time I go to the bookstore, there's a new book on Seerah.
Yeah. It's not
so back then we had the Sealed Nectar, which is one of the best books on Seerah, but it's not the best translation in the world, as you know.
Yeah, it's pretty
and When the Moon Split, which is, a lot simpler than the Sealed Nectar, and the Arabic the English can be improved as well.
Yeah, okay.
But it's a lot better. Now, Allahumma barik, there's books upon books in the Seerah of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the English language that are available. So we advise is start with one simple one.
Yeah.
With your reading of the Quran, and really we always say, and this is a disclaimer, we don't want people to think that we're encouraging
people not
reading
to read the
without study or self-study. No, we are always saying that you should go and study with the mashayikh, with the students of knowledge. Need to need. This is the best way.
Yeah.
And reading helps. Reading helps. Study what you're studying. Read what you're studying. Go over it. Have a library. And continue your path of seeking knowledge by studying and reading.
Yeah.
One of the brothers here says that there is overload of information on the internet. It's a massive distraction.
1,000,000%. Like, bro, I use for Quran, like, I use my Tartil AI app, which is pretty amazing. I use that for my revision. Like, I'll read into it, and this app basically picks up my mistakes without me having to rely on someone else who might be, like, either might be good or not, like, might be reliable, unreliable. But my phone being there present is pretty reliable. So I love this app, but every single time, without fail, I'll go, let me open my Tartil AI app. I've gone to my messages. I'll get a message. I'll get a call. It's a massive distraction. So you're just the phone in general is like I'll just if you just I usually now when I do anything I just have my phone on airplane mode so I don't get a call. I don't get messages.
Put it in another room. What do you reckon? That's what I try to do sometimes. It works. Just having it around.
No, but like I actually use my phone for other apps and stuff like that, like the Jami' Sunnah app, for instance, like Jami' Kutub al-Tis'a, the 9 books of Hadith in one app. Like it's like just, the help that is for me, unbelievable. So I actually need my phone for quite important things. But then as soon as I take it off airplane mode, it's just like I get bombarded from like every angle. I have like over 150 like WhatsApp messages I haven't opened yet. Like just absolutely enough. And the messages that I have, so it's just so much. I just get really overwhelmed sometimes. But the internet is bad, but your own socials could be really worse. Like it's people that you know that you can't avoid, and it's people that know that Sheikh's online, and I could be recording a message that's really important, and then someone calls me during that message. That's the worst feeling when that recording goes down the drain and you don't know what you've listened to. It's like could be a 6-minute recording. Yeah, no, I hate technology right now. It's so bad, but alhamdulillah.
It has to be a balance and use it in the right way. And I believe you do need to switch off.
Really?
Airplane mode, turn
it
it off.
I actually need my...
Maybe have it on your tablet.
That was the alternative. That was the alternative.
Your laptop.
But then like, I actually, my laptop that I actually type in, it's not connected to the internet. For this reason. It's called air-gapped. It's an air-gapped computer. So no one can get in my computer, inshallah. That's one thing. All my things are like saved from viruses or whatever it is. So my computer just does not get connected to the internet. This one here that I have here. So I type with it. I just write my lessons now on this computer, and alhamdulillah, that's the only thing that's alhamdulillah that's saved. But with the tablet, I was thinking about that to do that. So let's see how we go, inshallah.
Sheikh, any questions you have on the Instagram?
I have no clue. I don't know how to use this. This is the first time I've ever gone live.
Maybe just scroll down.
Where can we ask questions? just there's a comment section below. I'm pretty sure.
Comments section right there.
Right there, inshallah. But yeah, I'm not gonna scroll up. There's too many joined thingies. But if anyone wants to ask a question, Ahlan wa sahlan.
Okay, I saw that online. You revised how to keep away from sins for Ibn al-Qayyim.
Yeah,
maybe a bit about that. And we got asked about it. And actually, it's subhanallah. When I saw you do that video, I actually went over that book in Ramadan.
Really?
on Albayan radio.
Really?
In 24 small recordings.
How was that? How did you find
it? I found it good.
I find it very. The way that I can explain that book is a book that I wish kept going.
Yeah.
I just wish that.
The Sheikh gives 20 tips on how to escape sins.
Yeah.
And inshallah, we'll share the link once again. We shared it last time. And I found it good because what I tried to do, although they put the matter and the text at the back of the book, I read the text first all the time,
of course.
every time.
That's a good no-brainer.
And then I would, benefit from the commentary of Sheikh Abdul Razak al-Badr, hafidhullah.
And the translation.
And the translation is quite good.
Quite good.
So that's a good book.
Yeah.
Pretty cheap as well.
Yeah.
I advise every brother and sister because, we all fall into sin, and this is one of gives you tips on how to escape sins.
That's like the most common question, Sheikh. How do I get away from sin? How do I get away from sin?
That's why it's one of the most common books we've been actually recommending.
Really?
Yeah.
MashaAllah. It's unbelievable book. It's a very, very important book. It's good. It's quick. You get that satisfaction. I'm all about people getting the satisfaction of finishing a book urgently, because once you get that finished, that book, I just finished this book. Wallahi, once you have that feeling, there's no high better. Other than the prayer, other than the Quran, I'm saying like there is just this high that you get on when you finish a book and you say, I just finished the book. I just finished a cover to cover book, and it could be like that could be a big thing for someone, right? Like I remember the first time I finished the book, that was amazing. What a feeling! And I've been trying to just replicate that just over and over again, and just that feeling of I've done this, and then going over it, and then just getting more and more benefits, because I'm a big believer in reading a book 3 times.
And there is a book that I actually liked, but we haven't gone over it completely, and I wanted to ask your view about it. I've actually heard the Sheikh online. I think he's from Canada, Dr. Ali. I don't know if I'm pronouncing his name right. I don't know if it's Al-Bayruti, Al-Barghouti. I don't know. Anyway, he's got a book called This Is Love.
I don't touch. Look, English books like that. I don't. That's just.
And he's got. I think he had another book about the heart.
Heart therapy.
And they were quite good. That's the one I actually went over. So yeah, the heart one, I actually quite liked it.
So see, the heart therapy one, like I can look at it, like I haven't gone through cover to cover. I've just looked at parts of that book.
Yes.
And but I can say like, okay, from what I saw, it looks okay. It looks fine. Just fawaid from various scholars of the past on different ahadith, and it's all about just fixing your heart and your state
I
of
quite
spirituality.
liked it,
It's a nice presentation, right? So, and it's been very, very popular with like a lot of brothers, especially, and a lot of sisters too, to be honest. So I do recommend that, you know, like, but for me, I'm a person who likes classical texts. I'm a person who, give me a person who's like 700 years old. Give me a person who's like 900 years old. Give me a person even older. I'm all about that grind from back in the day.
No doubt. I haven't gone into This Is the Love one, the other one, but no doubt they all benefit from who else?
100%.
Ibn al-Qayyim,
100%.
for sure.
100% they do. But I want to read from Ibn al-Qayyim. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't want someone quoting Ibn al-Qayyim for me. I want to read Ibn al-Qayyim. That's why I'm going through that with Dawat, right? The disease and the cure. I want to read first,
Friday nights at ASWJ Auburn after Isha. There's the plug right there for you.
So I genuinely think, you know, there's so much to do, but I'm more of, I don't like the way things are going in English publication. Not very promising to me in the sense where,
In what way?
we have a bunch of unknown people writing a bunch of very, very famous books now. And that's very, very scary. We don't know who they've studied with. We don't know where they've raised. We don't know what they're doing. We don't know where they've got the tazkiyas from. Writing a book, you know, when the printing press first came out, the first fatwa that came out about the printing press was it is haram to print. Why? Because the scholars of Istanbul said, this was like back in the day, Ottoman period. They said that when the printing press came out, we are scared that people will read a book without the understanding of their sheikh. So and the first fatwa that came out, gone. Right? And so now people can publish a book. You could be an absolute dropkick and you could be like, I'm being serious, right? You're actual dropkick and you're writing a book, how to fix your life, and your life is in tatters. Like, well, no one needs like tips from you that. I'm sorry, but it's just true. Some people just need a dose of reality. I want to write a book. Where can I get it published? Well, who are you to write a book? But anyways.
No doubt, we should know who we're reading for.
100%.
Because this religion is
Inna hadha al-ilm deen.
100%.
This knowledge is religion. فانظروا, look at who you are taking your deen from. This is a statement of Ibn Sirin, one of the great students of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anh. This is deen. You can't just running anyways, that was a trigger. That was a trigger for me. I'm sorry, but so we're getting like that's how, and books are just getting famous on TikTok, right? And they're just running amok with it. And it's like when you go and look at the book, it's filled and riddled with kufri ideas. And like straight up, there's something just straight deviancy. It's like, bro, how is this famous? Because it's got a mad cover. I doubt that people have read these books, bro. But it's just they get on the bandwagons like, oh, this is the book that changed my life. No, I didn't, bro. You haven't read it. Let's be honest, bro. I gotta follow. I got. There's a question here. What books would you recommend after Riyadh al-Salihin? So I'm a person who thinks that you need to read a book in every science. In every science. So like if you finish a book like Riyadh al-Salihin, wow, props to you. Wow, that's pretty good, you know what I mean?
It
like,
is.
That's an achievement. I'm going through Riyadh al-Salihin, we're on like lesson 30 and we're on chapter 3. We're not going to finish that book anytime soon. So that one there, if you finish that in Hadith, like wow, mashallah. And then the next thing I would do would be a book in Seerah, because a lot of the Hadith you've already you'll see it in the Seerah, like you'll see it come up. So I would take a book in Seerah, then after that a book in Aqidah, then after that a book in Usul al-Tafsir, then after that a book in Fiqh, after that like actual, have it mapped out. That these are the fields that I need to do, right? I didn't say that in any particular order because Aqidah should be the most important thing that you read.
No doubt.
But like I would generally say have the field mapped out, and this is what I do for a lot of people who come to me sometimes. I'll be like, okay, write down whatever you've read, write it down for me so I know what you've read. And then come back, and then we'll go through what you've read, and we'll see where's the khalal. What have you missed? What subject don't you have? So like some people come back, it's like, I've read all the books of Aqidah. Okay, how's your adab, habibi? How's your adab? How's your etiquettes? How's your manners? Right? So then adab al-mufrad will be next up. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I look at like what comes and then what comes next. So I genuinely think a book in every science is very, very important. That's really, really good. To have a systematic approach, that like a book in Aqidah, a book in Fiqh, a book in Hadith, a book in Seerah, a book in Tazkiyah, a book in, and keep going. And then once you finish that, then there are levels of each of those subjects, right? So once you finish one thing, there's another thing to go through. So inshallah, that will help, bi'idhnillah. Like to keep it systematic, inshallah, will be really helpful.
Excellent. And obviously, know the author, as the Sheikh was mentioning. It's very important to know who the author is. And we should not read for people we don't know who they are. And just leave our, religion like a mystery. Who's the mystery author here? What's his manhaj?
like
what's his aqidah?
If
What's
you
he
read
upon,
about the stories of the past, stories of the past,
You slid back into perfectly there, you know that, huh? That was gold, Allahumma barik.
Thanks, bro. During COVID, this became like second home. I don't know.
That's right.
We
You know your way around here.
We recorded like every second day of COVID over here. It was for like months. Me and Umar were running amok over here. Anyways, so can you provide a map for stages example? Yes, we definitely could. That's something that we can definitely do. But the thing, like if we look at the stories of the Salaf and we look at the stories of the past, they used to get tazkiyas from the mashayikh where they're allowed to teach. And then they'd present their books to the ulama. And the ulama would tell them, okay, now this is okay to do. This is okay to do. You know what I mean? So now it's just this self-publishing. Like anyone can publish a book of Amazon now. Like you just don't have to do anything. Just yalla, self-publish. And it's very, very dangerous, but at the end of the day, like, there's a lot of problems. What's a good book on tazkiyah? I generally think it's Da'wah Dawa. I love that book for tazkiyah. Excellent. It's literally called Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah is called Tabib al-Qalb, the doctor, the spiritual doctor, the doctor of the heart.
And all the other books are really benefiting from
Everyone after that has been taking from him.
Like the book we mentioned for Dr. Ali, Heart Therapy.
A lot of it.
Similar. And I'm going to throw it out there. The Purification of the Soul for Sheikh Jamal ad-Din Zaragoza, if it's even in print anymore. Do you remember that?
I have a copy.
I have a copy too.
I think I have a copy.
Back in the day, yeah.
Oh, Al-Bashir.
It might have been the old publishers.
Al-Bashir Publishing. Al-Bashir Publishing.
Have they ever even reprinted that? No one's.
That was a gold book.
And there's one for
and the English in that.
Dr. Ahmed Farid, Purification of the Soul as well.
Yes.
Single volume.
I am. Again,
Sheikh Jalal likes that one. Sheikh Jalal Shami, shout out to him. He
loves Sheikh Ahmed Farid's one. Yeah. And everyone, there's a certain group of Medina students that love that book. Sheikh Ahmed Farid's book.
Egyptian Sheikh, for those who don't know.
But Tazkiyat al-Nafs, straight up, there's no better book than, I generally think, the Quran, first and foremost. Yeah, that's going to be...
That's a given. The Quran is number one in everything.
Then the Sunnah, then other stuff. But if you want something that's going to talk to your heart, Da'wah Dawa. I love that book. And I just go over it. Once I finish, I just go over it.
In print, available?
Available, currently sold out. We've gone through copies of that, man. We're coming in again, same time as all the other hectic books from America. We've ordered a whole bunch of copies. That one's coming from Hikmah Publications in Philadelphia, I'm pretty sure. Good translation. Unbelievable. Don't get the Dar es Salaam one from the UK, Dar es Salaam London.
Yeah, there was another one. I was going to ask you about that.
Shocking. And then don't, just so bad. And don't get the Dar Kutub Ilmiya print. Horrible print. So bad.
That's it.
I literally told someone today that it's better to put their books as a coaster rather than a book. Like as a, where you put your tea. It's better to put the Dar Kutub Ilmiya books as that, I reckon, in my humble opinion. I'm entitled to opinion.
But
English books.
They do have Quran and Hadith in there.
The English books.
But they don't have Quran and Hadith in there?
It's like translations, but it's misrepresented and mistranslated, even the ayat.
Still have to respect that, come on.
Alright, yeah, okay. It was just it was...
I know what you mean by it, but still. What do you think?
Can someone write a name on Da with Dawa, the disease and the cure? The disease and the cure. I know, but it's just it's
we share the same opinion about Dar Kutub Ilmiya, yeah.
It's a exaggeration.
I know what you mean, yeah.
I don't actually mean use it as a teapot or something. But I generally think the Dar Kutub Ilmiya book.
You feel like tea? Maybe some tea? Calm you down a bit?
I thought that was off
air. On it, why not?
So with the other question about the map, I actually got that written for me by a sheikh.
Map of? Can we just repeat that?
The map, the map of what to study in different sciences and different things. I had that written for me by one of my sheikhs.
It does depend, but if for the brothers and sisters out there, if you can read and study Arabic and who you have access to from the Mashaykh, ulama and students of knowledge. If you were in Medina, for those brothers asking where the Shaykh has studied, he studied in Medina. He's a graduate of the Islamic Islamic University of Medina in the faculty of Da'wah, was it?
Faculty of Hadith, bro. Don't do me like that. Don't do me like that.
That was intended. Because for those who don't know, amongst the unis, the actual faculties, they go at it. So I've actually been there amongst the brothers who studied in this faculty, like the fiqh or sharia, as they call it, and hadith. And this is where they go at it. What's more beneficial to study? And we did this, we did that, and that's another story for another day.
Okay, so I had that. So I asked the sheikh like the same thing, because I was like in the process of going back to Australia, and then basically I talked to my sheikh, one of my sheikhs, Sheikh Uzair Shams, rahimahullah, who passed away very, very recently. He was one of my dad's like best friends as well. He was a sheikh in Mecca, and he was, يعني, the mashayikh of knowledge. They used to say that he was the most knowledgeable person of the writings of Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah, to the point where he was showing me pictures. He was like, this page was written in the handwriting of the sheikh after he went to prison in this place in this time. He wrote this in the beginning of, he used to know from his handwriting. And the thing about Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah's handwriting was that he had messy handwriting, right? So he was able to know not just where he wrote it, when he wrote it, and what it said, and that this is written in his hand. So he used to go, and it was like a random, you know those PDF websites? Like those PDF, like he was just pulling PDFs like that of manuscripts. And he's like, this is what Shaykh al-Islam wrote, this hasn't been published yet, this hasn't been published yet, this hasn't been published. He was a gem. He was unbelievable. He was a graduate from Jami'ah Salafiyah, then he went to, like, he studied like extensively, right? He went to, he ended up at al-Qura. I'm pretty sure he did a stint in Jami'ah Islamiyah. It's like a tank, mashallah, and he passed away very, very recently. And it was sudden. He was talking to students that had just come to Medina, to Mecca, and he was giving them nasiha, and he just, sudden death, subhanallah. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mercy on him, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive his sins, ya Rabb. But he wrote for me a proper barnamij in his own handwriting. He wrote it down for me of every field in Islamic studies, and I don't share that one out. It's like, come on, not yet, until I scratch everyone off the book. It's something a lot of people have asked me for. I don't know why. It was meant for me. It was a tailored program.
I've seen other maps from other students and seen what they recommended.
It was a tailored thing for me. It's all in Arabic. It was all about Arabic books and what to study in every field. Because
it depends on the tools and abilities that you have.
Exactly. So it's not. I genuinely think it won't be applicable to anyone else that I give it to from the English study, because the books aren't translated, so you can't really do anything about it. You know what I mean? But it was like, I've found a lot of barakah in that page, in the sense where I've been following that program, and it's been pretty good. I just recently started it again with certain subjects, and alhamdulillah, it's just going all right.
Alhamdulillah. Sheikh Rafee, Sheikh Farhan, Sheikh Rafee is his dad. Done it a few times. Sheikh Farhan. We can speak all night about books.
Any other questions?
Do you have any more?
Not gatekeeping. Okay, so right there. Gatekeeping. I like it. Astaghfirullah. I'm just done. I can't bother. Right? It should be fine. I don't think, if I miss a question, you can write it out again.
Inshallah, we'll open up the time for questioning next time. Do you have any final comments before we wrap it up?
Next week is going to be a goodie.
Inshallah.
Inshallah, ya Rab. If Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us right. I'm nearly finished with the book. I think it's good.
We have to come up with a way where we don't so the brothers and sisters don't ask about the same books all the time or the same questions, because there was a lot of repetitive questions. We don't mind asking, but we'd like to maybe address different questions. Maybe we'll have a summary before we start next time and just tell them what we've gone over. I'll take care of that.
I reckon, just put the list out. Already done.
Yeah, and refer back to it's all in there. In whoever's watching on YouTube, if you go to the description, the links to all the programs are there. One link to the previous whole playlist. It's on SoundCloud as well, the whole playlist as well, and on Facebook there. So we'll be back inshallah next Monday bi'idhnillahi ta'ala at around 8:30. So please stay tuned for that. Any final comments, Sheikh Rafee', Sheikh Farhan?
Wow. Well, don't insult my dad like that by calling me his name, bro. He'll probably be
So for those who don't know, Sheikh Rafee' is like one of my teachers, so that's why sometimes tongue twister. Anyway, Sheikh Farhan, any final comments?
Someone's asking when we're coming Melbourne. Apparently soon, but I don't really know about that. I'm not going to comment. I'm not privy to say. That's the first thing. The second thing is generally revive reading in your lives. Straight up. Wallahi, there's a lot of barakah that comes in the works of our ulama. There's a lot of barakah that comes out of books. There's a lot of barakah that comes out of the brotherhood where out of books. You'd be so surprised. Wallahi, you'll be so surprised. You guys, there are so many benefits of having books, actual physical books, not PDFs, not anything else, just a physical book. There's so much that can happen. There's a lot of khair that it brings. And if you might not benefit, but your family, your children, your offspring, your cousins, maybe a neighbor might pick something up and enjoy something. You just don't know. So reviving this thing of reading in our lives for our children to see us and our families to see us, to pick this up from us, is very important. Like, we can't lose this skill. We can't lose this access to our turath, our history, our honor, our legacy. It'll be so sad if that ever like fizzles away, that our community can't read. That's just sad.
100%.
So, yeah. I know it's a somber note, but I genuinely think it's important.
Good advice. Jazakallah khairan.
But yeah, come on.
I'd like to thank our tech team. I'd like to thank all the brothers and sisters who contributed with their questions and their feedback, and all those who watched and listened to the Islamic Book Review podcast, episode 7. More to come.